In episode 9, now that they're split up, and Quiet thinks that John Doe is dead, she continues on to New San Francisco, but she's upset. A piece of her is missing from this journey, and it is John. She has no idea that John is actually still alive. But on the way to New San Francisco, she hits a deer, it ruins the vehicle that she has, and she's just kind of stranded on the side of the road with nothing but her and her feelings. And that's when vultures show up, looking to pick anything off her proverbial carcass. But the vulture actually is a pretty decent guy. He sits down, enjoys some Vienna sausages with Quiet, and listens to what she's so upset about. But even though he's willing to listen to her, it's not like he's not going to steal her stuff. He has to grab the package, the same one she's trying to get to New San Francisco. She chucks it while trying to distract him in order to grab a gun to end up killing him, but she gets some help from some old friends. Flower Power and Watts pull up at that exact moment, and they save her. And it wasn't pure coincidence that these two former acquaintances pulled up at that exact moment. It was all thanks to John Doe. Because John was left for dead, he didn't know what to do, but one of the vehicles at the Holy Men compound had a radio. He knew that Watts and her gang of truckers would be on the channel, so he called for a lift. He then let them know that Quiet already had a head start, and chances were she wasn't going to get too far. John Doe was right. So when Quiet gets onto the convoy, she's shocked because there's John Doe staring at her, the guy she thought was dead. This time, John apologized to Quiet, but Quiet doesn't accept the apology. She's relieved that he's still alive, but she's still pissed off at him. John Doe decides to wait a little bit to talk to her, but even after about an hour, she's still pissed off. Watts decides to step up and intervene and says to both of them, okay, do you want the good news or the bad news? And neither of them answers, so she starts with the bad news. She tells them both that Stone's men all went back to Hoover Dam after Sweet Tooth took out all of the bases. This is the first that either John Doe or Quiet are hearing about Sweet Tooth and Stone having some issues. And Watts confirms it and says, yeah, Sweet Tooth has got Stone all hot and bothered, but getting to New San Francisco is going to be really tough because we'd have to go through the dam. And that's where the Hornet's Nest is. The good news is she heard of a detour. She's willing to get them close, but she doesn't want any parts of this fight. She's going to drop them off and then head north. After hearing all of this, John says, well, then we have our work cut out for us. And Quiet looks at him mystified and says, oh, there's a we now? Let's get something straight. The only reason I haven't thrown you out of the back of this convoy is because I want inside New San Francisco. So, in a way, John Doe is right. They do have their work cut out for them, both personally and professionally. After eating, they then go to work on trying to build up a car, one that Watts had left over. John knows after a few minutes of working on this car that they can't work like this, under these conditions, not talking to each other, so he finally says, let me have it. And she's pissed at him for not coming with her, for choosing a car over her. Especially after he said things like they were partners, because when he chose the car over her, it became evident to her that they weren't. The problem is, she had gotten attached to John Doe, and she was sick of losing people. She felt like he knew that. The move to go back for Evelyn and not come with her was extremely selfish in her opinion. Yes, Quiet is still going to need a few more hours to cool off. She goes, takes a nap, and when she wakes up, John Doe is still working on this vehicle. But she notices that he actually does care, because one of the things in the glove compartment is her axe. She had had it with her this entire trip, using it as her main weapon. He made sure to go back and grab it. This was the first step in rehabbing their relationship. He gets in the car and he once again apologizes for his decision. At the end of it, he tells her that he still wants to be her partner. Before she can answer, and by the way, it seemed like she was leaning towards a yes, the convoy screeches to a halt. That's because the convoy was hit by lawmen, who riddle the convoy with bullets. Everybody in the convoy that's still alive gears up for battle, including John and Quiet. Their car is basically combat ready at this point, so they hop in and they get ready to make these lawmen pay. Before they take off, though, this new vehicle needs a name. Evelyn had a name, and the name they choose for this new vehicle is Roadkill. Roadkill heads out of the convoy, and both the convoy and Roadkill pass by Stone's blockade. Even though the convoy wasn't planning on getting into this fight, after lawmen killed 3 of their drivers, now they're fully in the fight. And shortly after getting through the blockade, their convoy starts taking fire, and they know that one of the people that's firing is Agent Stone. This fight includes just about everybody. The convoy, but Watts also goes solo in her F1 car. Roadkill. And of course, Sweet Tooth, with Stu in the passenger seat and Mike riding in the back. But Sweet Tooth has a new look. He has Stu light his scalp on fire. And now he's ready to make Stone pay. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.